What is going on, guys? DBG, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite players in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. So, these are not the top 10 best. This is far from it. These are the 10 players that I just enjoyed using the most this year. These guys are going to be some iconic players. There's definitely guys I've forgotten because I've enjoyed a lot of players this year. But lads, these are the 10 that I would say are my favorite. This is not, again, you're not going to see a Luka on this list because as much as great as Luka was, I didn't have fun using Luka. And I always said that when I sold my Luka, I was like, I actually don't enjoy using Luka. Like, these are guys that I purely just had fun playing with. So, first up, the big Wong. The big Wong. Wong GG. This dude was about 7'3" in game. He had base 28, which is one of the easiest release to green in the game. Back when greening mattered, by the way. Like when cards at the start of the year, I know sniper was a thing, but greening did kind of matter at the start of the year. Whereas you had the big Wong out there greening everything. He was huge. He had 72 speed, which you might be like, that's terrible. No, like at the time he came out, the best center in the game was obviously David Robinson was a different story. Like he was just better than everybody else, and it wasn't even close. Like he was the guy. But like he had 84 speed. 84 speed was the quick center in the game. Not another quick center. Like the second best center when he came out was Mutombo. And he was faster than Dikembe. Shot the ball better. 83 block was equally as big. He was a 1,000 to 3,000 MT center that played like he was 30k. So good. So good. And still to this day, the guy that almost everyone uses when you have to use a Ruby. I made so much MT. I remember I bought a bunch of him for like 1,000 MT. And I had them all sitting in my auctions. And then he went up to 5k MT during 1 week unlimited. And I made like 200,000 MT after just buying a bunch of him for 1k. Then, Denny Abdi. The first of the really good budget tall point guards. So stats wise, no flaws. High interior, decent block rating. Good speed, good acceleration, good three-pointer. A release which we thought was going to suck was actually fine. Session 1 was fine. Fundamental dribble style. Like, he wasn't a dribbler, but if you got him into, like, behind-the-back animations, he was one of those guys that moved really fast with behind-the-back animation because of his height. He had a normal leaner as well. He had a lot of the, like, good shooting bys like catch and shoot and corner specialists and stuff. And as far as, like, when he came out, like, he came out the 6th of May. And yeah, sure, like, this is the day Shaq came out. So this is the day where we had this card. Like, but like for me, he was better than this Magic Johnson. He was better than this James Harden. I think he was personally the best player in the entire Supernova set. And the thing with Denny Abdi is when he came out, Ben Simmons came out the week before. So 1 week before this, Ben Simmons had just come out. And there was no option. There was no way at all anyone was guarding, like was running with a big tall point guard. Because Simmons was out 1 week before this. And then the only other cheap top point guard we had at this stage was Bonga. No, Bonga wasn't very good. And you might say he was similar to Denny, but no, trust me, he wasn't. Denny was that first. His player build made him look like 7 foot tall. He could dribble, he could shoot, he ran really fast, he played defense. Denny was freaking him. And again, the fact he was 1,000 MT helped. After Denny Abdi, we have James. We have James Harden himself. He came out on the 8th of October. This card came out in Season 1. And if you're looking at his badge, you're like, these really suck. But like, he had clamps. He had quick first step. He had the Harden shuffle. He had Harden dribble style, which was nice. Better than Shifty. Not as good as quick, better than Shifty. He had the Harden layup package, which was really okay. The Harden dunk packages with basic two-handers. All these dunks that were unblockable. Everyone will tell you this was probably the best shooting guard in my team when he came out. Like, if you wanted to say Harden was better, Harden was right. If you want to say Vince was better, if you want to say Kobe was better, I'm not going to argue. But he was in that conversation. Despite having that low interior rating, it didn't really matter at that stage in the game because no one was managing with point guards. This guy was him. One of my, like, he was my starting two guard through all, like, he came out 8th of October, so with a week to go in Season 1. He literally was my point guard all the way through Season 2. Like, all the way through Season 2, he was my point guard. Or say not my point guard, my shooting guard. And it was only when Season 3 came along, and that I got rid of him. Like, he was my starting 2 guard. I ran my offense through him. It was only when I started to like focus more on playing clutch time, and then I was looking at my team and I was like, okay, yeah, I would rather use Dragic Petrovic than him. Like, that's when he got replaced, when I said, you know what, I would rather use Dragic. Then Miles, Darius Miles. This dude is another early game player. Like, these stats don't seem like much, but you have to take into account when he came out. He came out 1 week into the game. He was a huge, like, he's another one who was like a 6'11", 7 foot wings, or 7 foot player build. He was huge. He could shoot. He had a chick release. He had fundamental dribble style. He could run. He could defend all 4 of the 5 positions. He came with interceptor. I put clamps on him. I put post spin technician on him. And sure, he didn't have the playmaking badge, so he couldn't really dribble with the ball. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. Like, he wasn't going to move that with the ball anyway. Darius Miles, I'm telling you, lads. When he came out, and like, again, you might be saying, oh, like, this card sucks. But like, when he came out, 16 goal buys was a lot in a card. Like, if you want to look at, say, Kuzi. Like, Kuzi was like one of the highest overall players in the game. He only came with 17 goals. And then you got 16 goals on Darius Miles. Insane. Obviously. For my own personal reasons, Pat Burke has to be on this list. So, like, Pat Burke, again, I always say, is like, I just really enjoyed using Pat Burke. First of all, he wasn't great, but he wasn't horrific. Like, I know he's set shot 16, but that upper is unreal. He had the release on quick, when players didn't really have release on quick. He kind of had no flaws. Like, 80 lateral was alright. Like, he wasn't great at anything. He wasn't terrible. Like, you could use him. And then he was one of the best rebounders in the game. I don't know why, but he's one of the best rebounders in the game. He had half brick wall when very few cards were getting that, and it really mattered. Pat Burke, a power forward, was one of the top, like, 15 power forwards in the game when he came out, and he was a free locker code. And he was more than good enough to use. And the one reason I like Pat Burke is, again, like I always say it, in Ireland, they didn't really show NBA when I was growing up, and like I was like 9 years old. I didn't even have access to the internet. So the only basketball that I was really watching was like my local team playing in like the Irish second tier. And then like from that was the standard of basketball. I thought those guys were like the freaking best players in the world. And then I remember watching like the Irish men's national team whenever they were on TV, and watching Pat Burke be by far the best player on that team. I legitimately grew, like, obviously was like 9 years old. I legitimately thought he was the second coming of Michael Jordan. And it's just like, it's crazy getting to use him. It was really cool seeing him on St. Patrick's Day. It was really cool waking up, having no hint of it, and just seeing a tweet from 2KDB being like, Pat Burke coming into the game. And again, the guy who was responsible for that was not me. The guy who was responsible for that, I have already thanked him. But yeah, then we had Drazen. Drazen was so fun, man. He came out June the 3rd. And like, I hyped him to the damn moon, and I stand by it, lads. I stand by it. So he came out like, I didn't really get to use him too much for when he first came out. I remember I used him the day he came out. I was like, okay, this card's kind of him. And then when I was in hospital right after this, so I was like, I didn't get to use him too much. And I remember coming back from hospital and being like, Drazen's the damn best. Like 94 speed, 94 acceleration. Base the re-on very quick. Quick dribble style. Mitchell size. I love, my favorite size ups, by the way, are Mitchell and Francis. I prefer both of them to D-Rose. He had a Scotty behind the back. He also had quick drops off one with an 85 dunk. Or an 80 dunk. What you want is these quick drops off one with a low dunk rating never got blocked. So he never got blocked. He had a 90 steal. Good interior. Every shooting badge and half. He had pretty okay defense, and he had base 3 on very quick, which very few players had at the time. The guy still can cook. The guy can still absolutely cook people despite the fact he's an opal, and easily one of my most fun cards this year. Then Donovan Mitchell dunked over. Like, Donovan Mitchell obviously had the Donovan Mitchell size up. He had shifty dribble style back when not many players in the game had shifty dribble style. Kyrie layup package was annoying because every now and again he would go for like a 360 layup, but it was very rare. It wasn't as bad as Kyrie himself. Base 4 on normal timing was a release that was really, really solid. It was a release that was really, really solid. He could green basically everything. And the only issue with him was that he was a 6'1" shooting guard. But what ended up happening was a lot of people ran Ron Harper a point guard beside him, and it kind of made up for it. If you ran a like Walt Frazier or something beside him, you could run with that Donovan Mitchell. as your primary ball handler, because if he was a point guard, he would have been by far the best point guard in the game when he came out. Donovan Mitchell really was that dude, and he was just really fun to use because he could dunk, he could shoot, he could run, he could handle the ball, he could defend, he did everything, and he came out like in October, which was still really early in this game. Then, I mean, I've gotta Gerald Wallace, mini Kawhi. This guy, again, someone as half defensive leader on the floor with him, because he doesn't come with it at all. Everyone these stats basically goes to 99. 96 speed, 96 selection, 93 3 ball. 99, base 99 on very quick. Quick dribble stock. Kyrie size up, which is really good. Sure, his escape wasn't the greatest, but he came with quick drops as well. Scotty behind the back. A super, super good release. I was so high on base 99 from the very start when it was on Davion Mitchell at the start. I literally tweeted out. I need to just find I need to find out the tweet. I called for those of you guys that are like, oh, he didn't think that these cards were gonna be like good at the time. I literally tweeted this. People don't know what's coming with the base 99 Gerald Wallace. This is June the 10th. I had just gotten out of hospital. I had just gotten out of freaking hospital and was tweeting this. Then we've got Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter, lads. Now, this is a card that a lot of people really don't know. This card was an offensive juggernaut to start the game. Dude had Shifty back. This was back before anyone had Shifty, by the way. He had Shifty, basically quick drops. Trae Young release on quick. The normal leaner and Scotty behind the back with a 75 driving dunk. He never got blocked. If you gave him quick first step, he moved like Klay Thompson. He was a better offensive Klay without the defense. He was literally better. If you gave him go quick first step, he was a better offensive Klay Thompson. Dude came out on the 12th of November. And of all cards that came out on this day, he was the one I had most fun with. Him, Sadiq Bey, Matisse Thybulle, Davion Mitchell. I liked all those cards. The rest of these cards other than PG kind of sucked. But telling you, lads, Huerter was that dude. Offensively, he was unbelievable. Defensively, non-existent, by the way. Non-existent on defense. But this wasn't you could hide players at this stage in the game. He was so good. He would just cook people. And now a modern day version of that card is like this Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, everyone's like, oh, his wingspan's short. If you've ever used Tyler Hero in game, that's not an issue. Because his player build is huge. He looks about 6'7" in game, and his wingspan is fine. 94 speed, 94 acceleration. Defense doesn't seem to be great, but he's more than capable on that end of the floor. But it's just the animations. Like, dude's literally a freaking Trae escape, Stevie Francis size up, Trae fade, Trae Young release, Scotty behind the back quick drops. This is an endgame. Like, him and Manu Ginobili are essentially, I will say that they're endgame cards and they're unique cards. The only cards that I've really liked, as in their uniqueness, are him and Manu Ginobili in Season 8. I think that they're the two most fun cards to use. And if you guys are watching me stream on the DBG Clips channel the last couple of days, I've lost like one total game in clutch time. I'm like 12-1. 12. No, I'm not. I'm like 22-1. And my guy, like, I run through Hero and Manu Ginobili mostly through Hero. Hero is that dude. And as far as the fun factor, he is the most I've enjoyed. The only card that I actually just use and I have fun playing with are him. And then I haven't used this card enough, so I didn't put him in my top 10. And Manu Ginobili. So Manu and Hero are the only two cards I will say in like my team this year. The only real difference between these two guys is that Hero's got a quicker release, but Manu's is easier to get off because Exum is a lot harder to contest than Trae Young. Trae Young gets blocked a lot. And then Manu's got the Curry slide, which you get Trae escape and Hero. Other than that, they're very similar cards. I shoot fades. They both have Trae fade. But yeah, this is the 10. So we got Wong Gigi, we got Denny Abdi, we got James Harden, we got Darius Miles, we got Pat Burke, we have got Drazen Petrovic, Donovan Mitchell, Gerald Wallace, Tyler Hero, and Kevin Huerter. You might be wondering, it's like, why do I not really have anyone from around Season 4? Because Season 4, there's like times in my team, if you guys know me, I really like the start of the year when every player is kind of low overall and it becomes a tactics-based game. I don't like it when every card can kind of do everything. As in like Season 4, Season 5, where it's like, okay, every player on the floor can shoot. Every player can kind of handle. I don't mind it right now when the game goes full unrealistic, do whatever the hell you want. It's when the game goes through that lull period in the middle where it's like semi-unrealistic, I don't really enjoy, which is why this is a lot of cards from the start of the year and the end of the year. And if we're looking middle of the year, it's only Pat Burke. And basically, the middle of the year, if you want to put Luka Doncic and Michael Jordan in there, like if I had Michael Jordan would be in there because he was so fun to use. I just never really had the MT to get him. And then Luka Doncic was another player that I just didn't enjoy using because it was just too easy. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.